different things that you can do outside, I find, that are helpful. Um, I could go down the list, and I'm not going to, but there's, like agoraphobia, where people are afraid of crowds or getting outside. That may be something you may have to address in therapy. If you can get out to a therapist, although there are some online, so maybe look into that. But anyway, I'm digressing, but I'm not going to go down the list of different neuroses. There are things that you can do, basically, if this is where you find yourself at. You have agreeableness, which is another personality trait, which may be something like, volunteer work, or, things to where you can be like, have a sense of importance, a sense of helpfulness, that maybe it would be something, like packing meals for a church, or like Salvation Army, where you have a lot of people around. Maybe you're not the boss, and people are telling you like how to complete these tasks, and that's fine, because if you're agreeable, then it's not going to bother you because you're agreeable, and that's okay. And then you've got people, and I find myself in this category, about like somewhere between like conscientiousness and openness to experience. You're not going to fall dead center or dead left or dead right on most of this stuff, but conscientiousness is something to where when you do something, you want to complete it. You want to have that feeling of success, and you want to have that feeling of being able to stand back and look at whatever it was and be okay with it. And that could be anything. It could be learning a new song on your guitar, or it could be planting a flower bed, or it could be, I don't know, just the sky is the limit, I guess, but basically doing something that you feel good about. I mean, all of these things, whenever it's not so much feeling good about it when you're finished with it, but like the whole process. And it's important to be able to do these things without the expectation that it's got to be perfect, without the expectation that somebody's going to be looking over your work and may or may not give you a good Yelp review or something. These are things you're going to do for yourself. Doesn't mean that you have to be alone, which those of us who are in the openness to experience range are probably going to be maybe doing more things that are social. But again, it also goes back to like what we like to do, and in the past, what was it that we've done that we got something out of. And if you're still struggling, it might be good to kick this around with a friend and find out what they do and emulate some of that, maybe, or maybe look at people who we look up to and see somebody that's modeling something that we feel like that we might want to try. But the thing is to nurture that part of yourself that's not getting addressed, because when stress gets out of hand and the busyness of life gets out of hand, that's why, because it's that part on the inside that's going, yeah, but I wish I could be doing this, or when I get enough time, I'd really like to, whatever. So, like I said, this isn't going to be a real long podcast or YouTube video. I'd like to hear from you. You can email us at mindoutpodcast@gmail.com. I'd like to hear back about maybe what are some things that you like to do that you feel like maybe other people could consider trying. And then you can see us on our Facebook page or our Twitter page. You could type something on there. That'd be great. We haven't been getting a lot of fan interaction recently. I have got a few emails, but things have slowed down, and I think it's probably due to everybody being busy this summer, getting things done that they need to before the winter hits. It'll be here before we know it. And then at that time, you'll be wishing you will have invested during the summer and things that you should have been doing to, further yourself or get yourself in a better place. You can always have hobbies in the wintertime too. Take a vacation day here or there. Reading list. So also let us know some things that you're reading that you find interesting. Right now I'm reading a few. I'm going at Sex at Dawn again. I'm reading that book by Chris Ryan. You can find him on, he's done some TED Talks. He's got a podcast. It's called Tangentially Speaking. He's got a website. You can check him out there. But his book's really interesting. And I am having a guest this weekend, Molly Eames from St. Louis, Missouri. He's a sexuality educator. So I got to brush up a little bit. So I'm reading that one again. I think this is like my third time I've read it, but it's a good book. Ordinary Men I finished on my vacation. That is a stunner. So it's a very heavy book. It's about this police battalion that was in Nazi Germany that started out basically as good guys who ended up as killers and everything else. And you could see through the duration of this book, with each step they took into the darkness and what kind of process that was. It was very sobering because it could be any of us, that we visit that shadow part of ourselves. But like I said, heavy book, especially for vacation reading, but it was something that I was already reading before vacation. I just wanted to finish it. It's a very, very good book. I'd highly recommend it. It's only about 300 pages long, so you can get through it pretty easily. And then I'm working on Graham Hancock's book, America Before, which is, when I said that last one's a heavy book, I just mean like mentally, but this book is like, it's freaking huge, man. So there's a lot to get through. A lot of archaeology and a lot of background work on cultures, and this one goes into America about, I guess, prehistory and things like that. So, but that's a really good one. What are some books that you're looking at reading? Just give us a shout. One thing that I did want to cover as kind of an example of hobbies, maybe of people that people that you may not necessarily like, but pretty much just like famous people and what they do. You always see tabloids with like, oh my God, they're just like us. Well, yeah, we're basically all the same. So, but anyway, there's a Apple co-founder, Steve Wozniak. So the guy plays Segway Polo, which it's not something you're going to find in rural America, but it's something. So maybe croquet, maybe that could be your thing. We've got Angelina Jolie. She collects daggers. So yeah, that's okay. I don't even believe that one. I'm reading this off of Business Insider, so you just have to, whatever, you'll have to give it, take it with a grain of salt maybe. We've got Google co-founder Sergey Brin. Likes the high-flying trapeze, and so this may sound like, oh wow, this is so intriguing. Maybe he's probably got a trampoline in his backyard, who knows. Warren Buffett, the name speaks for itself. He's the richest guy, and next richest person to God, basically, probably. He likes bridge, and he likes playing the ukulele, so you got musical instruments in there. Tom Hanks, the guy who most everybody likes, that is from Hollywood, and that's pretty rare. He collects vintage typewriters, so yeah. Maybe he likes to write. Maybe he just likes that snapping sound. I don't know. You can envision what that sounds like real quick. Pop, pop, pop. Billionaire Richard Branson. Okay, why do you have him in? Well, aside from banging barely legal women, like anyway, I shouldn't even mention this guy. He likes kite surfing. So, actress Leslie Mann rides a unicycle. All right, to each his own. Indian billionaire Anil Ambani likes to run marathons. Like, these are all things that you can do that it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of investment in time or money. Okay, maybe Segway Polo, but we get Susan Sarandon likes ping pong. All right. Dick Costello makes honey. Okay. Liam Neeson loves fly fishing. So, I mean, fishing's always been something that's been relaxing for me to do. And the list goes on and on. But these are some things that you can do. Maybe some suggestions. Give us some suggestions. Send us an email. I can read them on the air at some point. So the main thing, according to Mr. Jim, the old principal, is to recreate yourself and find that person inside who is demanding all this attention, whenever you feel yourself becoming overwhelmed and when life's really kind of throwing you some curveballs. And it doesn't have to be a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time. It can be on that mental health day, or it can be on that a day or two that you take during the week, when you realize that you just need a break. Maybe have some of these things planned, and I think that can be some of it too, is the pressure behind coming up with something on a day off. You don't need that. So the thing to do maybe is to make a list out and find out what that could be ahead of time. Even if it's just like, I'm going to take a nap half the day and then I'm going to eat pizza. If those are things you haven't done in a while, okay, yeah, that might be something good. Maybe you work night shift a lot. Maybe you're on swing shift. God, I was for 10 years, and it took me about a year to get back to normal sleep cycle, or what I considered normal. I think the idea is, like, if you find yourself, depressed and sleeping, that's probably not a good thing, but doing something. We are, I think Irvin Yalom said, like, we are human doings, not human beings. That we are this energy that's, it's got to be doing something. It can't be sediment. It can't be stale, and it can't be on pause forever. Like, we're human doings. We've got to be working things out, for whatever reason it may be. Anyway, thank you for listening to us or watching us, since this was our first video. I appreciate you guys being out there. As always, check us out on Anchor Podcast. Check us out on Spotify, even on Overcast app, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can get podcasts, you can normally find us. If not, download something different, because that one sucks. But otherwise, I'll be putting these up to YouTube too, as much as I can. It's going to probably take me a little bit longer. When I do have my guests in, I'd like to at some point be able to find a way to record that on both ends. Like I said, I'm not a producer, so you have to bear with me. I'd like to launch my website by the end of the year too, and that'll be fun. Like, this is all, like I mentioned, like hobbies and things that we can do. These are things like, today is a Tuesday evening, and I worked today and I got up early. Just so happens that I've got the house to myself for the evening. And this is something, for me, it's a hobby I like to do. I think it's fun. I like doing the research behind some of these episodes that I do, particularly like the psychoanalytic type stuff. It's just, to me, it helps me understand who I am more, and it helps me walk away, with the feeling that I've learned something about myself. So I hope you feel that way too, and I'm open to suggestions too, so send me an email, and if you've got any suggestions. If you need any therapy advice, I plan on having some Q&A stuff, or maybe some rants that might include a little bit of, like free therapy if you've got any questions or concerns that are going on with you. Again, thanks for listening, and I appreciate you. I'm going to walk around my desk and shut this off because, yeah. Have a good one.